relax.
Namaste everybody. I am here in the beautiful Indi Masi village with none other than Guruji himself.
Namaste, namaste all.
It's hard for me to describe the feeling of actually meeting a master who has given me so much, who has been such an agent of change in my life. I have just met Guruji about half an hour ago for the first time in person, but I've met him a long time ago, I feel. And we are sitting here doing this live together in person. I may not be able to see a lot of questions that people put up, but please go ahead, put your comments, put your questions, and we'll find a way to see them later. And right now we are in conversation with Guruji. So Guruji.
Namaste to all. And really, I don't feel any difference because you all have seen the way we interact. Usually, no particular question will not be in my mind. A good disciple like Nidhi come to me and throw some questions. It will trigger some hidden points in my brain. Actually, this is what is happening from the day one. As I left my monastery, during that time, Master told me, Shiva, you have two ways in your life. If you turn left, you are going to Hatha Yoga. If you turn right, you are going to Sahaja Yoga. So in which direction you are going? Then I told my master, I would like to go my right, Sahaja Yoga. Why? Because I would like to share my experiences with the society. Then he said, yes, that is what meant for you. Now you are going to travel with a handful of seeds of the Siddha Mahayoga. And Master said, I am 100% sure that you will not put this seed on barren land or on rock. Wherever you see fertile land, you put the seed and keep moving ahead. Never bother whether that seed is sprouting, coming up. So that is none of your business. Just put wherever you feel the right soil is there. Then the rest will be taken care of Parashakti Amba Ma. This is what I have been doing from that day. Now, in between, I met many people. They come to me and they will throw certain questions. Till that moment, that question will not be in my mind. All of a sudden, a trigger will come. Then I will look forward for an answer. Parashakti will tell one answer for that. It will be coming spontaneously. And I can tell you all. And Nidhi is one among the very serious students or disciples or seekers who could throw wonderful questions which could stimulate my inner layer of memory, the past samskaras, for digging into to take out answer for such questions. And all our Upanishads are derived from such meetings. That, good Shishya will meet the Guru and there will be a conversation between the Guru Shishya. This is what is called Guru Shishya Samvada. From that, these Upanishads are evolved. So now I can tell you all, there is a proper Upanishad is going to come between the discussion between or the samvadam between Nidhi and myself. You have already experienced how many subjects we already discussed. And if you go to Bhagavad Gita or Narada Gita or Sanal Kumara Gita, There are many Gitas in our Bhagavatam, Devi Bhagavatam, Srimad Bhagavatam, then Mahabharatam, then Ramayana, many Gitas are there. The essence of Gita is the Gita of our life. And it is going to be developed through these conversations. I am not telling that we are deriving a Gita. In between, the essence of all these Gitas is the secret of our own life. So we should be able to read in between the lines. Through these conversations, such conversations, we can find out the truth which is lying in between the lines. That we can trace out and make use of it for the betterment of our life. Life in 3 planes: physical plane, mental plane, and spiritual plane. Yes.
Guruji, I am so blessed to be in your presence physically and energetically in your life. I was just telling Guruji a little earlier, before we get into our discussion, I want to also share that all my life I've had a lot of spiritual discussions, and I have been struggling inside. I would say it's the feeling of bubbling, when you're bubbling, because you can't, there's an unease, and you can't, there are questions that have been in my mind and I've not been able to answer, and I'm the kind of person who just seeks clarity. I'm not satisfied easily at all. I need clarity and I want to dig deeper. And even if you've heard me talking about Ayurveda, the way I work is I just need to dig deeper till I can't dig anymore. So it has been a journey and there's been a struggle. And when I met Guruji, and the first conversation I had with Guruji, it felt like coming back to a mother. You come back and you go to sleep when you're home. And so many of my questions have been magically answered. And these are not questions that I have asked Guruji. I think the beauty in the conversations Guruji and I have is that I don't ask him questions that I plan to ask, and he doesn't answer the questions that I ask in the way I ask them, but I find answers that are deeper than I could ever imagine. Even today when we said what will we talk about, Guruji and I were talking, and we said we'll just see what comes up, what feels right in that moment. I never prepare for my talks with Guruji. I feel like his energy guides me. It allows me to dig deep within myself and come up with everything. But I know that bubbling that I had before I met Guruji has settled in a great way. It still happens from time to time. And that's why I need his every Wednesday dosage. That's why I need to talk to him every Wednesday. And I am so grateful to be here. I'm so grateful for all the lives he's touched and for all of you watching this. So Guruji, while you were talking, I thought some of the points that we have discussed that have been very powerful, Guruji, I want to ask you some of those questions again and summarize some of those points. I would love for you to answer them again. But before we actually go into that, Guruji, I want to talk about Indimasi village.
Okay.
And I want to talk about my experience that I had in the morning.
Okay.
So I came to Indimasi village, and I didn't come thinking anything. I just came, and I didn't say, it will be like this or it will be like that. I just didn't. I just arrived. And when I arrived, I felt like I arrived. And I was home right away. You can see the picture of this place, and I have posted some on my stories. I went in the morning to see the sunrise while the moon was still out there, and I sat at a point near the pool where I could see the mountains. And I was just facing a certain direction, and I have no idea why I was facing that direction. And the whole hour passed, and it felt like 3 minutes. And when I met Guruji, he said that there's a deep energy running through this place. I've heard some great stories of healing from people here. And it's not, you can heal through the body, right, Guruji? The Panch Mahabhautik healing has certain limitations. But Indimasi is a place for physical, emotional, spiritual healing. The energy that runs through this place is tremendous. So for all of you, if you have any conditions or not, this is a place that offers everything from spiritual guidance to emotional to physical to panchakarma to yoga to kalari. I know I'm coming back to spend time here with my girls in the summer and to be with Guruji. So I just wanted to say that, Guruji, before we start, because I feel like I didn't know enough about Indemasi and I want to communicate with people, because everybody should, find a way to come here and find yourself here, because that's what this place really promotes.
Yes. Anyhow, I can share few incidents which guided me to construct Indemasi. Actually, I didn't do anything. It is done through me by our masters. Actually, this idea came up in my mind in 2002 when I was in Oman. I was preparing myself to settle in Amsterdam. There I was developing a contact, and through that I was planning to migrate to Europe. That was in my mind from Oman. And slowly I was preparing and I developed a contact over there. Then setting up something in Oman, like an Indo-European link. I was planning a lot, intellectually I was planning a lot. But in 2005, I was really in around 2 o'clock morning. I woke up after having a clear dream. I was seeing a greenery with many hills, and in between, like a round of hills, I saw a small hill on which many buildings with a clay, like roof. And I was having clear picture. Then I thought maybe it happened something like that. I ignored it. But the same dream I could see the next day. It continuously started coming. Then I felt something is, pushing me to look forward or seriously. Then I started doing manana on that. It's called samyama. In yoga, especially after the serious meditation, when we come out from samadhi, we can put a subject for verification in our mind. There, mind will go to the depth and trace out from our memory storage. So that process is called samyama in Sanskrit. So I did samyama on that dream. Technically it is called reading the dream. So I was reading my dream and I got a clear picture that I should find this place and bring it into action. I have to materialize my dream. That was the instruction given to me by gurus. Then from Oman, I called my sister in Kerala, just advised her to find a place around 5 to 10 acres of greenery, surrounded with hills and everything. And she searched for that. And one day I got a call. She traced out around 5-6 locations. I flew from Oman, I came over here and I went around. When I came to this place, and when I stood on a particular point and looked towards the west, immediately I saw a temple, very old temple, covered with trees, and I got my vision. Yes, this is the land which I have seen in my dream. Then I told my sister, find out the owner and we have to buy this. It was it was filled with the bushes only and some rubber trees. Then my sister asked me, what you are going to do? I said, you buy, we have to make a resort here, like an ashram. And she said, there is no proper road, it is not near the beach, what you are going to do, it's not a business plan. Many things she said. I said, come on, please buy it. It happened. I bought it, then slowly, whatever was seen in my dream, slowly materialized here. And I didn't do anything. There was proper instruction through my masters and it happened. Now see the word intimacy. Mother Nature is the supreme healer. and she is everything. If you find a problem, what you will do? If you are a child, you will cry. Who is there to listen to your cry? Mother is there, that's why you are crying. So we are all children of Mother Nature. Anything comes, you scream. It will be attended. Mother Nature is so, serious and keen to listen the needs of her children. So what I understood is, when I was in my meditation period also, when I was staying in a forest, I was never bothered about my hunger. But whenever my body was in need of food, something used to come to me, as if mother was sending somebody, a tribal woman or a tribal man. Usually women used to come, because one day I saw, I was meditating, I didn't know anything. All of a sudden I felt, that is hunger, and there was a cramp in my belly, and I opened and I came out from my meditation. Then the moment I opened the eyes, I saw one tribal lady, waiting for me, like as if somebody is meditating, and it is a culture. And if somebody is meditating, nobody will, disturb that person. That lady might have been waiting for, my waking up hours. And next to her, around 3 to 4 year old boy, he was sitting like this. Because mother might have told him that Swami is meditating, you should not make a noise.
Oh,
Even that small child was holding his mouth, not to disturb me. Then I saw something on a, like banana leaf, like boiled, potato or something like that. So that's what I'm saying. If we have hunger, Mother Nature will provide it. Then there can be a technical, intellectual question. Then why the children around the world are starving, like in Somalia and some African countries? It has different explanations, I can tell you later. Now what I am saying is, Mother Nature is ready to give all, benefits to you. Swami Vivekananda very clearly said, nature is ready to give her secrets to you, but you should learn how to knock.
How to ask.
Yes. So his master, Sri Ramakrishna Paramahamsa, used to tell that. You have to be a naughty child in front of mother. You know why? Mother may be busy in kitchen. And if you are playing with some dolls and everything, she will be focusing on her work. But if you start crying, she will give you a chocolate. You can enjoy the chocolate, then again you should cry. Then she will give you something to play. That also you can enjoy the dolls, then keep aside, cry again. Then finally what will happen? Mother will take you and keep on her hip, then she will start doing things. Exactly, this is what we should do. We should meditate, focus our mind and ask for our needs. There we have to be clear in our needs, what we are looking for, what we want from Mother Nature. So what I am saying is, when I did all these things, I asked to my Guru, why am I here? What is my job? Then I can tell you, I have shown 7 geological points by my Guru. Then I went there and I started sitting in that area. We have Sapta Dhadus in our body. Body is a combination of 5 elements.
Yeah.
Earth, water, fire, air and space.
Right.
These 5 elements are combining each other to produce our body. Then there must be a technology for survival of this machine.
Right.
And there are actions happening in our body as Sapta Dhatu.
Right.
Dhatu means the process or the basic nature of the molecule.
Right.
It is called Rasa, Rakta, Majja, Mamsa, Asti, Meda, Shukra. Rasa is the food when we eat, it will mix up with the saliva. and it's a digestive juice.
Right.
And once it go to stomach, another digestive juice. So
Right.
this is called rasa, chemicals.
Right.
From that, directly blood will be produced,
Right.
rectum.
Right.
Then from rectum, I mean according to yoga and Ayurveda, bone marrow is produced. But modern science is saying that blood is produced from bone marrow. No.
No.
Okay.
Yeah.
Then rasa, rakta, majja is bone marrow. Asti means bone. Then asti, medas, essential fat. Rasa, rakta, majja, mamsa.
actually.
Mamsa. Mamsa is flesh.
Yeah.
Asti is bone.
Bone.
Then asti.
Shukra.
Yes.
Shukra.
Rasa, rakta, majja, mamsa, asti, medas. Medas is essential fat. And final one is semen. So these 7 transformations are taking place. That is the technique of the body machine, survival of the body machine. For that, we need 7 different types of energy from nature.
Right.
Where if we fail in any one of this, I mean, like a reception of this, any one of this energy, that part will be affected, which we call dis-ease. Body machine cannot function at ease.
Right.
Technically, I was shown 7 energy points in this land.
Right.
Yes. And when I see a patient comes with a disease, I see the aura, analyze the energy, then immediately I will come to know which dhatu he is having, deficiency. It's called dhatu kshaya.
Yeah. Dhatu.
Kshaya means the deficiency.
Right.
So which one is affected? I will technically advise them to make a walk in that area and sit there and meditate. Then this energy will start playing in that. So when I was shown this 7 energy points, I was so grateful to Mother Nature for giving me a chance to serve the people in this traditional way. Another thing, then we were looking for a word, name for this purpose. Then my CEO, he is like my shadow. So always he is with me. He can, feel what I am thinking.
Chakoji.
Chakoji. So he said, we have to make something unique.
Mm-hmm.
Then he said, India is the land of this knowledge. And it is emphasizing that energy is within you. That is what is called Tattvamasi.
Yes.
Tat.
Yes.
The energy or the ultimate goal which you are looking for is within you.
Yes.
Tat. That, Tvam, you, Asi, are. So, masters are saying that all your, problems will be solved from within. That is Tattvamasi. We took Asi from that. Then India is showing the way. Then we connected that India with Asi, so we made intimacy. Then immediately I felt that, oh, this action is making you intimate to Mother Nature. See, we can develop an intimacy with our nature through intimacy.
Oh, that's a great slogan. So Guruji, I have to ask you a question. That point that I was gravitating towards, what Dhatu Kshaya do I have?
Oh.
And I want to tell you all what happened to me this morning, but...
Yes. Shall I tell
Of
to
course,
the public?
Of course, Guruji.
Nidhi is having mucus accumulation, Kapha Prakriti. Prakriti means, Kriti means action, Krityam is action. Pra means pro. So what we see as this manifested body is a consequence of a subtle action which already happened.
Yes.
That is what's called Prakriti.
Yes.
Okay, so Kapha Prakriti means mucus is being accumulated beyond certain limit in the body.
Right.
And so what we should do, the food which we are eating is not being completely transformed into energy.
Right. Right. Right.
Good, no?
Right.
So what's happening now? The Rakta Dhatu
Mm-hmm.
is polluted.
Mm-hmm.
So Kapha is more.
Mm-hmm.
So basically I can say the first one, Rasa, the second one is Rakta.
Right.
Rakta, if you go through proper analysis, you can find that
I have Rakta Dushti.
Yes.
I for sure
that's
have
right.
Rakta Dushti.
Yeah.
I know that I have Rakta Dushti. I've been experiencing Rakta Dushti for the last 3-4 months. And I've been, I started my own chikitsa when I was in the US. And when I came to India, I just let it go.
Yeah.
I just let it go. So that was the point where
That
I was
was the
standing,
point.
where I was
Yes.
standing also.
Yes.
So it was so funny that I came yesterday and I just had this urge to ask, where is the sunrise? Like I had the urge, it was very dark, I couldn't really see anything, but I had the urge to, and Guruji, I'm going to ask Guruji to explain what he told me about intuition today. And so I gravitated towards this point. I asked, where do I go? And instead of seeing the sunrise, I ended up turning in the other direction. I was just, something in me said, I have to look that side. I don't know, I just sat there for an hour, facing a certain direction. And it was really funny because I gravitated towards that. And when Guruji came in the morning, he just said, there is a point that I have to show you, which is an energy point. And it is the same exact place which
Intuitively.
it invited me to go and stand in that, to sit down, and I did my breathing there. And I feel like this is that place, it will invite you. And some of the other stories that I heard, people got connected to different, to what they needed to see. So it was a great experience. But Guruji, can you talk about what we were saying at the table earlier today, that how your intuition, comes as a vibration and compels you to take action?
See, we all are having 3 levels of understanding, 3 dimensions, which is intuition, instinct and intellect. Once we are completely engaged ourselves with external informations, that means we are tied up with intellect. There we will not focus on our instinct and intuition. But deliberately, we have to spend minimum 24 minutes to maximum 88 minutes for our inner observation. That is why I insist everybody to sit on floor. When we sit on floor, you can come to know Mother Earth will start communicating with us. We keep moving, always we are busy, like flying, driving, and we are not experiencing the earth. With bare foot, we have to walk at least 10-15 minutes on earth. Then we have to sit on earth for 24 minutes minimum. Then try to observe our own inner functions. There gradually you will come to know how warm Mother Earth is. It's like when a child is having a stomachache, like a 1 year or 2 year old child, it cannot tell exactly what's going on. But mother will take the child and hold to the chest. Definitely the child will feel the relief. How it is? The pain, the vibration will be immediately absorbed by the mother. Energy will play. It is happening in the instinctive plane. But intellect cannot understand that. So what I am saying is, when we sit on earth with a relaxed mind, try to focus within the instinctive planes will be noticed by our intellect. There the healing process will be very simple. Instead of doing that, we keep on searching in website. Okay, I have the headache. Which tablet can help me? Which doctor can help me? We are slowly throwing our attention, outside. When we sit inside, body has the tremendous capacity to heal everything by itself. So when we focus, this potential will be explored by our own self. There we will come to know nature is available for us. It is available 24 hours, each and every moment. Mother is trying to communicate something with us, but we are failing to listen that. If we develop a habit of sitting like this every day, minimum 24 minutes, we will come to know everything is provided for us. Based on that, that is the foundation of our health. Based on that foundation, when we look outside, small tablets or some guidance from experts will be more than enough for us to solve our situations. Just for example, now everybody is bothered about this COVID-19.
Sorry guys, we just had a little pause, but we are back now, so we can go.
Yes. Now, everybody, when I look around, people are panicked. Nobody knows really what's going on. So, what we have to tell ourselves that this COVID-19, it's a virus. It has a similarity in our Vayu Tattva. When our breath is polluted or it becomes weak to serve our purpose, that is what is called virus. Again we can tell. So nature is producing certain microorganisms to support us, to enhance our immunity. Why do we are in need of enhancing immunity? Have you ever thought about it?
I have, but I'm sure you're going to have a genius answer.
See, now we are in a, like in a process of evolution, because we are inhaling lot of carbon monoxide.
Yeah, like a correction, yes.
Because of this machineries and vehicles, it is emitting lot of poisonous gases. We are inhaling it. Second thing, the food which we are eating is having lot of artificial fertilizers and pesticides. Chemicals are there.
Right.
So the food, water, air, these three elements which we are getting is polluted.
Yes.
Correct?
Yes.
So from these polluted molecules, body is being produced.
Yes.
So it needs a strategic change.
Yes.
So we are going through an evolution. We are not
Absolutely.
having the system, metabolic system of a person who was living 100 years ago.
For
It's
sure.
entirely different. And again it is going to be polluted, mainly because of the electronic vibrations like
The cell phone radiation.
cell phone and all other things. It's coming even from the outer space.
Absolutely.
Hundreds of, satellites are being placed and they are sending electromagnetic waves for all these things. We cannot run away from this evolution
Right.
because it is the necessity of modern man.
Yes.
But body, brain, our system should change.
Has to evolve quickly.
Yes.
Yes.
So for that, nature is producing a virus. The virus means it doesn't have a peculiar behavior. It will enter in a body. Based on that body, it will manifest.
Change its behavior, yes.
Yes. So what we have to do is, when we meditate, mind is the real player. Because body is a manifestation of subtle mind.
Right.
Sukshma is mind, Stula is body.
Yeah.
So mind should be prepared to accept this microorganism. It is beyond our senses and it will keep changing its behavior. That's why it's called virus. And considering that fact, our body is the biggest virus. You know why?
Because how much we change.
Changing. That's why it's called Sharira. Shiryade anena idi Sharira. Our body is keep on changing. Every second body is changing. That's why we can call our body is a big virus. And it wants to enhance its power. Like a computer. If you want to enhance or upgrade the computer, we have to add a secondary component to it.
100%.
Right. That component will be having a memory or an intelligence.
Fully.
Then the master computer should merge with the component's intelligence. Then it will upgrade itself.
Yes.
Suppose that component's intelligence is not matching with the computers, it will collapse.
It will have a short circuit.
Yes, then it may shut down. Or
Shut down.
this
Break
is
down.
what's happening. Yeah, it may break down.
Yes.
Same way, when the virus comes, our mind should be conscious of this virus. Everything in nature is having two faces, a friendly side and an enemy side,
Right.
positive and negative,
Yes.
day and night.
Yes.
So when we understand the friendly side of the virus,
Yes.
it will work as a complement. If we fail to recognize its friendly side, it will act as an enemy. That will collapse, break down our system.
System. Yes.
And now we think, okay, vaccine will solve everything. I'm sorry to say, vaccine cannot solve everything. Our immunity will be the primary, like energy or the source for handling the situation. Now we will face this COVID with one vaccine. Already the second wave, is in action.
Third wave, yeah.
Third wave is already predicted.
Yes.
That means we can expect fourth or fifth or sixth.
Yes.
Who knows?
Yes, Guruji.
So what we can do is, as the virus changes, our body also should change.
Updates itself each time.
Then the second wave comes, we will be immune to face the second wave, we will take it as a compliment again. When third wave comes, we are prepared for the third wave if you do the proper action.
Right.
Then from my instinct, I feel when we reach to fourth or fifth stage, our body will be totally equipped for the for withstanding the changes happening outside. This is what we have to do. We cannot coexist with an enemy. If we consider the virus as an enemy, we cannot develop that cohesiveness. That means we are rejecting the instruction of nature, which can retaliate to us.
So true. So true, Guruji, what you said. Really true. Sorry, I'm just thinking about it.
What I'm saying is, each and every feeling or things which are happening in our life will have these two phases. Here we should develop our instinct to understand the purpose of the manifestation from nature. If we focus only through our intellect, we will see one side of the reality. The other side can be revealed to us if we are instinctively evolved. That is why I insist everybody spend at least 24 minutes daily for meditation. When we do that, our body and mind will work in a harmony. When the body and mind merge each other, we will start emitting one micro. It's called pions. We can say our body is emitting certain molecules. We can see with a biophoton camera, if we take the photo, you can see how powerful the cells are.
The energies, yes.
Yes, they are emitting some kind of energy.
Yes.
When we do that, it will affect others. Even plants will be affected with our positive energy. Yes.
Absolutely. Guruji, since your talk, I want to say a few things. Since our last talk, I have been thinking Karuna towards Corona.
Yeah.
In my mind, I'm just like to have compassion towards the virus. I'm going to summarize quickly what Guruji says, and I'm just also going to say an example that I had today of being in harmony with nature. So Guruji, what Guruji said was, the world has changed, shifted a lot in the last 100 years, more so in the last 20 years. Since 2000, the whole technological revolution and the industrial revolution, everything, all the 5 elements on earth are kind of polluted. Our food, water, air, and of course Mother Nature loves us. It wants us to upgrade ourselves. It needs us to, we cannot catch up as fast, we can't evolve as fast as the change we are creating in the world. So Corona has come, COVID has come in this big global wave to create the cleansing and the corrections that are required so that we can really look deeper, evolve and upgrade at the rate that we've created the change. We have created these external changes, pollution, technology, radiation, and now we can't catch up to it at a physical level. So Mother Nature has provided for this with COVID so that we can update our system. And Guruji, I just want to say one thing. You know how you said that when we learn to live in harmony with nature, nature works towards us. Today when I was sitting on that bench, Guruji, at that point, it was full of red ants. And one red ant came, and I didn't know it was, there were red ants walking. I was just sitting and then something bit me. And then I saw it was a red ant. And then I told myself, I said, the red ant is not biting me. I'm in its home. I have come here.
Yes.
It's not troubling me. I'm troubling the red ant. And then I don't know. I didn't want to get up from there. I didn't think again about the red ant, and I just said, I'm in your home. And it's not that I even thought about it deeply, but I said, I'm not going to bother the red ant. If it bites me, it's okay. I'm here as a guest. It done nothing between.
Yes.
It was all there. And when I got up, I said, did they disappear? What happened? They were all still there, Guruji. And none of those red ants bit me.
Yes.
And it really occurred to me at that point. And always Guruji says what I'm thinking. Just I never have to ask. Guruji answers my questions. Even as I was walking in Intimacy, and I said, I want to bring my children here. And then I said, my kids are going to ask about the nature and the wilderness and the bugs. And I'm going to tell them, you are coming to its house. It's not, we are invading the nature. Nature is not troubling us. So we learn to live in harmony with nature. And I guess the virus is exactly the same thing, Guruji.
See, this is why the external world is a projection of our own mind. When we see the external world is disturbing us, that real disturbance is happening within our mind. Shankaracharya, one of the very, very powerful sages in our tradition, declared that Brahma Satyam Jagat Mithya. What you see as this manifested universe is your own projection of your mind. Nothing else.
Nothing else.
But what is the reality? Reality is beyond the mind. So all masters, yoga masters said, yoga, chitta, vritti, nirodha. If you want to understand the reality, go beyond the mind. But for a comfortable, healthy management of life, you have to understand this fact that the external world is your own projection. If you expect a harmony, comfort, happiness from outer world, you should be able to project these things to the outer world. Yes.
Very true. Very true. And even what Guruji said about the being desperate to ask Mother Nature, this is the magic between, I think, our communication. Is before I met Guruji, all of Feb and March, if you saw any of my talks or lives, I kept on saying, because I had these experiences where I said, we just have to ask the questions. We don't have to go and find the answers. Our generation, Guruji, the minute there is a question, there is a Google, there's 10 phone calls.
Yes.
And that never worked for me. And I started having the experience of, I don't need to go seeking for the answers. I have to ask the question enough. And I think through that questioning enough, I asked some questions enough to myself, and I met Guruji. Guruji came into my life as an answer. So I think that's when Guruji talks about, screaming enough to Mother Nature. It means not troubling the world outside, is really going within you to ask the questions that, desperately what you're seeking, and the answers will come. And I have experienced this many times. So now, Guruji, in the last 15-20 minutes that we have, I'm going to say some statements that have made a big difference to my life that you have taught. And if you can just explain them, then we can move on to the next one.
Okay.
So the first thing that Guruji started with when we started was the concept of Chitta Vritti Nirodha to even start this journey. Can we explain what Chitta Vritti Nirodha is, and we move on to the next one then?
Yes. So again, as usual, you are going back to questions which are beyond, or the answer should be beyond our comprehension.
Yes, I know, Guruji.
I will try my level best to bring it to our intellectual level. Chitta Vritti means the undulations or the vibrations, we can say, which are happening in our body. And as a result of that action or karma, certain hormones will be produced in our body. Prana apanayor granthi rajabethya vidiyade. This is what Master said. Due to the external stimulations, our prana will vibrate. That is what is called vritti. Through that vibration, certain glands will be activated. Based on that, that gland will produce hormones. Granthi means gland. Based on that hormones, we will experience something. Then our intellect will categorize it, label it as this is good, this is bad. This categorization is based on our past experiences.
Yes.
This is what is happening.
Yes.
So, where intellect is keep on labeling, then so usually we will be entangled with that labeling. Then we feel, oh, nothing is under our control. Actually, everything is under our control. If we learn how to control the production of the hormones, we can create our life.
Absolutely.
If somebody says to me that, hey, Mr. Shiva, you are being called as Guru and you are good for nothing. Suppose somebody said
Mm-hmm.
that. Intellect will take that
Mm-hmm.
and it will go to the inner layers and compare with the past impressions. What that guy said, yes, Mr. Shiva, you are called Guru and you are good for nothing. That means immediately my intellect will say, these two comments are not good for your prestige. So intellect labeled it, it's a negative comment.
Yes.
Okay? Naturally what's happening? I will say,
Is
yeah, this
created.
guy is commenting something very bad to me. Then slowly, immediately, it will affect the
Produce.
adrenal gland.
Good.
It will produce adrenaline and I feel something as anger.
Yes.
This is technically happening.
Yes.
But if I am well trained in my meditation, when I look at him, in the moment it starts activating my intellect, my instinct also will make a communication with him because instinct is working on higher energy plane.
Yes.
I will feel an oneness with him
Yes.
because energy cannot be separated. It is
Yes.
one.
Yes.
Egam Sat Vipra Bahuda Vadanti. He is an extension of my own energy.
Yes.
Then immediately intellect will be informed that before you conclude, ask why he is commending that.
Right.
Because he must be in trouble or he might have been misinformed.
Yes.
Then before I, get a conclusion that this is wrong, I will make a harmony in a deep level.
Energetic level
There adrenal gland cannot work.
has no place.
Then what I will say, okay, he is my own projection, but still he is getting this confusion. Why? What made him to think like that? I should convince him, I should give him a hug. To tell that, hey, my friend or my brother, don't get into that conclusion. What will happen? Then definitely he will feel that, okay, something is extended. By the time when I extend that positive energy, it will come back, it will resonate in my mind also. Their adrenal gland never be activated. By the time my pineal will be slightly activated, then my brain will recognize that, oh, Shiva, you did something good, huh? That will produce oxytocin. Then I will start appreciating myself. Whether that person understands me in intellectual level or not, I will be happy by projecting a positive thought. That is what is called toleration.
Right.
So he projected few negative vibes as intellect labeled, but I converted through an intellect in an instinctive way as positive. This is what is called the aptitude.
Okay, I'm going to summarize that. What Guruji said is that basically we are in this whole concept of hormone against hormone. When we are working with people, our hormones or our neurotransmitters are charged versus another person's charge. That's how we've learned to interact in the worldly plane. And that's very, very superficial, and it's a very disruptive way. And the way this starts is as we engage our senses in the world outside, we pick information, we take that information, we assess it with our intellect, we assess our, what our senses pick on with our intellect, and we start putting labels. The labels generates a certain hormonal reaction, feel good, feel bad, feel ABC, feel stressed, we generate that kind of hormone, right? So you take it with your senses, intellectual assessment, charge. That's how this journey goes. We work with it, we get a charge or a hormonal, tightness. We start interacting with others with that charge. So charge versus charge is more fire, and that's how we operate. So what Guruji is saying, that Chitta Vritti Nirodha is cutting off this process of this whole journey. Senses, intellectual, judgment, hormone. We learn to bring ourselves into that energetic state, which Guruji had suggested in the first talk we gave, is disconnecting, disengaging your senses for some time. You know, meditation allows you to do that. Disengage your senses and experience that state of non-charge. And the more we experience that stage, that's feeling of being in that non-charge, the more we are able to practice it throughout the day. And that is what is Chitta Vritti Nirodha. Now Guruji, Tapa.
Actually, it's a continuation.
Yes, that's right.
Yes. It's like when we drive the car, we keep on applying the brake. What will happen? The brake pad will be heated. So where an effort of arrest comes, there will be heat producing.
Yes.
There will be a friction.
Yes. Yes.
Yes. So our lungs are just expanding and contracting in a certain rhythm. 21,600 times a day, it keeps on moving. Correct, no? Our heart is beating usually 72 beats per minute. So involuntary functions is working. Based on that vibes or the stimulation, blood is circulating with a certain speed. Actually what's happening, and all these actions are well in alignment, tuned with the cosmic energy sources which we call 9 planets and 27 stars.
Yeah, yeah.
Don't think that we are surviving as
By
individuals.
ourselves, yes.
No, it's only a microorganism comparing to the universe. We are a speck which is in link with all other existing things.
Right.
So when we try to hold the breath, which we call kumbhaka,
Yeah.
retention, it's like we are applying brake to the regular flow of nature.
Right.
So when we try to make that brake, it will be there will be a friction.
Right.
That friction will generate heat.
Right.
So that's why everybody can experience when we hold the breath beyond certain limit, we start sweating. That means body will be heated. In Sanskrit, heat means tapa.
Right.
So when we try to arrest the functions of our mind and body through arresting the lungs,
Yeah.
heat will be generated.
Right.
That is what is called tapa, and the process of producing that tapa is called tapas.
And that heat is going to help us to.
Yes, you know very well, heat can make changes.
Yes.
I mean the state of existence.
Yes.
Ice cube,
Yes.
you will call water or a cube.
Yes.
It's a solid cube.
Yes.
But apply heat on that, it will lose its identity. The molecular combination will be changing and water will be generated. And apply more heat, water will lose its identity. Molecular combination is not there. Then it will become vapor.
Yes.
It has no shape. It's entirely different than water and ice. So remove heat from vapor. Then water will be reborn.
Yes.
Remove heat from water. The ice cube is reborn.
Absolutely.
This is what is that energy can neither be created nor be destroyed.
Destroyed.
If one form of energy changes, it will appear in another form.
Absolutely.
Thermodynamics said, this is what in Gita,
Yes.
around 5,000 years ago, na sado vidide bhavo, na bhavo vidide shada.
Absolutely.
Energy can neither be created nor be destroyed.
Absolutely.
So the real player in our body or in existence is tapa, heat. Learn to control it and establish into the technique of the dimension of heat. Then everything will come under our control. Either like a virus or bacteria or the universe. All these things will behave the way you like. That means your mind is producing all these things. As our tradition says, Mano Mayamidam Sarvam. You are experiencing all this universe. Actually, is your own mind. Yes.
Yes, Guruji. Yes, that was great because from the point of chitta vritti nirodha, you come to tapa. So you start with the disengagement of your senses.
Yes.
And all those granthis, we create these tight knots, all these charges related to all these stories that we tell ourselves, the scripts we carry. Now, how are we going to do this? How are we going to let it go? Letting go. How are you going to let it go? After you do the chitta, disengagement from the senses is one part, and then the tapa, that energy, that heat, right, Guruji, which has the ability to break that charge and to just allow that energy to flow so that we can become lighter. Anytime heat is applied, it becomes lighter. The tube will become water, the water will become vapor. And when we talk about yogic tapa or the yogic heat, this is the type of yogic heat that Guruji is talking about, that will now really help us to release those bonds that we created and we have carried within us for lifetimes.
Yes.
And that's what you end up doing. I mean, it's made so much sense to me. I love how organized Guruji's thought back.
Another thing, see, the main advantage, I cannot say it's an advantage. It's like contributions or stimulations or benefits which we are getting is, as we try to play with the heat, Agni Deva in our body, the effect of intoxication. We are trying to get control over the heat. This is our target. But in that process, many unknown glands, thousands of dormant glands are there. These glands will be activated in our system. And the level of intoxication which we are getting in this effort, it is beyond explanation. This is what is called lahari in Sanskrit. Lahari is intoxicated mode.
Absolutely.
So as we try to hold the breath beyond certain limit, these hidden glands will be activated. Each and every moment in your life will be exuberant. You cannot explain. It is an ecstatic feeling beyond our intellectual explanation. That is the main benefit of doing these things, extra benefit.
You only have to experience it. Guruji is so right, and it's funny, right? That's the word I use as well. I had used this word to myself. This is intoxicating, and I didn't know that this is actually a lahari. To me, Guruji, even sometimes when I dance and I get lost, that's intoxicating. Sometimes a yoga practice and my meditation can feel the same. The same level of it's being one. Something has changed. Now, Guruji, one important question I still want to get into, just to kind of create this flow, is when people will still then ask, and that listen, I have to still exist in the world, and I'm trying to work on not having that charge or that that tightness inside, releasing my sanskars, and then I have to operate with the world. How do I know when to act, what I need to do as my dharma, as my duty, and when do I surrender? So Guruji, you had talked about Nishkam Karma. Can you explain that as a guide for all of us, that till what moment do you act? I know you had said that as long as it's Nishkam, you can do whatever you want. And at the moment it gets charged, it's your time to drop it. So can you explain that, Guruji?
Actually, there is no Kama Karma or Nishkama Karma. It's again labeling of our intellect.
Yes.
Intellect is labeling, this is Kama Karma, this is Kama Karma. It is the limit of intellect.
Yes.
Nahi kachchit chanamapi jad tishtat akarma krita. This is what is said in Gita.
Okay.
Means each and every molecule in this nature or in this cosmos is into action. Karma is happening. Only our intellect is saying this is beneficial for me. That is Kamya. This is not beneficial. This is Nishkama.
Yeah.
No.
Right.
That is the limit of intellect. So long as we are entangled with the intellect, we will have this duality, Dvaita, positive and negative. When we go beyond the intellect, Dvaita, there the reality will be revealed, where there is no two.
Constant seeking,
Only
constant.
Yes.
Constant finding answers.
But again, it is not, it cannot be brought into the limitation of our intellect. It is beyond intellect. That is why Master said, Chitta Vritti Nirodha. You have to go beyond your dual mind. Without duality, mind cannot work. If the moment you try to analyze within the fabric of mind, there will be two
limitations.
Yes. So kama karma and nishkama karma is only a projection of our own mind. When we go beyond the mind, when you become yogi or a tapasa, there is nothing other than Advaita.
Yes, Guruji, and I want to just reiterate, right, Guruji, sometimes when common human beings like us listen to this, it seems like, oh my God, the journey is really far, it's really difficult. But I want to say, I have experienced some remarkable changes in my life in the last few months, especially after talking to Guruji and doing the abhyasa, doing the practice that it's going to take. And I will tell you, it's not as difficult. Guruji, it's like when you go to the ophthalmologist and you have glasses and you're used to seeing everything blurred, but you suddenly get lenses, or you get your glasses, and it's different.
Everything is clear.
The way you look at life is just different. So even while we are constantly doing the practice of changing our sanskars, but the ability to see differently will begin very, very quickly. And as we start seeing clearly, we will be able to, engage with the world differently. I have noticed a very big difference in myself, and of course I have a long way to go. I'm not even in kindergarten in this path, but it is significant enough for anyone to tread on it and not feel like it's that difficult. Like Guruji says, don't go outside for the answers, go inside for the answers, and they will come. So Guruji, we are almost at the top of an hour. Is there anything that this can go on forever? I would like to, Guruji, even next week continue, the recapping of some of the concepts that we have discussed that have been so useful. Guruji, is there anything that you'd like to end our session with?
Just what you said, I have to add something.
Yes, Guruji.
You said you went to ophthalmologist and you changed the glasses, then you got clarity. Again, as you change the glasses, the external vision will change. No?
Yeah.
So if you do proper systematic scientific meditation, I mean Kundalini Yoga meditation, there will be millions of glasses, developed from within. You can keep changing these inner glasses and see the world in different ways.
Red sunglasses, blue glasses,
yes.
Rainbow glasses.
Wait, so this is what I am doing. Each and every moment for me is like a play. It's a festival ground for me. The life is a festival.
Yes.
So I keep changing my glasses and I experience the world the way I want. This is what I would like to tell you. Understand, find this immense potential from within and find these glasses and make use of it and make your life a festival. That much only I would like to tell.
And Guruji, I'm going to quickly scroll down some of the questions and see if there's something that,
Okay.
we should answer.
Yes.
If there's stuff we can take next time, we will, but I'm going to come closer
Yes.
and do this. And I'm going to read your questions so that we can come back with it next time. Thank you so much to all of you who tuned in and gave us your support, and I'm sure Guruji is going to change all our lives. So Guruji, thank you again.
Thank you all.
Pranam
Yes,
to Guruji,
sure.
and Guruji is sending all our blessings.